Okay, first, just a few guidelines that we need to go through before I talk about the KCTCS Distance Learning Proctoring Database, which anyone who proctors needs to know how to use. Okay, so first, if you do have questions beyond what I'm going over in this video, please feel free to contact me. My phone number, my office number is listed there, as well as my KCTCS email address. A few guidelines. First of all of the proctor rooms that you might be proctoring in have what we call vision software. This is a software that shows every screen in the room, and it should be open when you go into the class. But it might not be. If so, just click on that little eye that is an icon at the bottom of the screen, and it will open up. This will show all of the different computers in the room where you are proctoring. And if you want to see a computer screen a little more clearly, you just need to click on that particular computer screen and it will make it fill up your screen. And you can close it and still be safe. It'll show the other screens again. So make sure that you're watching this software, that you can see the students' computer screens, and that you look for students using unauthorized web pages, because that's, of course, the biggest form of cheating we have is students going to other web pages to get information. Always have some scratch paper and some pencils available for those students to take the exam. There are those who show up with nothing. Check their photo ID to establish their identity. If they don't have a photo ID, they can't take the exams. They're going to have to either reschedule or go back to their home, get their photo ID, and come back. Take up all scratch paper at the end of the exam so students can't carry out information about their test. All right, now let's look at the KCTCS Distance Learning Proctoring Database. All right, so I am going to go to My Path, and we're all familiar with My Path. When you sign in on My Path, you see this screen, and we want SharePoint Online. Now, I recommend that you make the KCC, and let me move this window over just a tad so you can see it. In SharePoint, I have made the KCTCS Distance Learning Proctoring Database one of my favorites. All right, but all we have to do is type that right here, KCTCS Distance Learning. Now, it's not going to pop up this nicely for you because I go there frequently. So you'll have to type this whole thing in there. Okay, so KCTCS Distance Learning Proctor Resource Center. Now, when you hit this, it may or may not ask you to sign in. You're going to, if it asks you to sign in, you're going to use your PeopleSoft ID and password. If it doesn't, that probably means you're just already signed in on a KCTCS computer, and so it's already taking you to the database. Now, you'll notice this popped up, so I can just click on it, and I'm on the site. It didn't ask me to sign in because I'm already signed in. All right, but let me also mention this. If you try to go to this site and it doesn't let you in, email me, let me know. That means you don't have access to this site. We want to make sure that you have access, and you want to make sure that you have access long before you have to proctor, because sometimes this will take a week or so. In order for you to get access to this site, we have to ask someone at the system to give you access. So if you try to go into this and it doesn't let you in, be sure to email me so we can take care of this for you. All right, so down at the bottom of the screen is a form that says add a new proctor resource. If you are an instructor who is giving a proctored exam, you need to fill out one of these new proctor resource forms for every class that you're giving a proctored exam and for every proctored exam that you are giving. Now realize that as an instructor, you can only give a midterm and a final that are proctored. KCTCS only allows 2 proctored exams per class. All right, so we're going to click on that just to see what this looks like. It takes a moment to pop up. And so here's the form that you fill out. Notice it asks you for your term code, and you just choose. The current semester, for example, is 4194. If you have a little trouble figuring out what number it is, the middle number is always the year, and then the last number is a 4 if it's fall, a 6 if it's a spring, and a 2 if it's the summer. And then the 4 tends to remain the same for most semesters, so you don't have to worry about that one so much as these. So since we're in fall right now, it would be 4194. Your class number, such as, for example, English 101, the section number, your name, the exam type, and notice you only have a choice of a midterm or a final. Now, they've put an other choice in there, but realize that you're only allowed to give 2 proctored exams through KCTCS. So even if you use that other designation, you're only allowed 1 more. Your work phone, and an after-hours phone. And I really suggest that you put in a number here. It's popping up with my after-hours contact phone. But this allows a proctor to contact you if there's a problem. Realize that only proctors will see this, not students. So you don't have to worry about someone who you don't want contacting you. These are proctors who will see it. Your exam start date, whenever it's open to students, the exam end date, whenever the last time is for them to take it, your password, which is very important, the time limit that you have on the exam, and then any instructions that you want to give for the exam. And then if you're allowing any third-party or supplementary textbook materials. Now let me mention something for time limit. At BCTC, all of our proctor sessions are either an hour and a half or 2 hours. Students need to be aware if they're signing up for an hour and a half session. It is a good idea not to schedule exams, proctored exams, that are longer than 2 hours, simply because the students will not be given more than 2 hours at most of the sites they go to take their exam. And that can be a real contention when they tell you that they weren't allowed the full 2.5 hours or whatever you put for your time limit. So keep it to 2 hours and you won't run into those sort of problems. And of course, when you're done with this, you want to be sure to submit it here at the end. Now, once you submit it, it's going to show up in a bunch of, or I should say a list of databases. So I'm trying to go backwards here and it's not letting me. So let me just re-enter. All right, so if we go back to the main site again, to the KCTCS Distance Learning Proctor Resource Center, right here it says View All Proctor Resource Forms. So this is going to give me, when I click on this, everyone who has entered their information into the database. All right, so you'll notice it gives the instructor's name, it gives the class number, over to the side it gives their work number and their contact number for home or wherever you can easily access them, when the exam is, the password, the time limit, the instructions, and so forth. All right, now, let's say we want a certain person's information. Maybe the instructor's name is Smith. All we have to do is go here to the top, put it in and hit enter. And notice that it's popping up with everybody named Smith here in the database. And then we can go look for the specific one that we are interested in information about. And of course, we can do the same thing with class number if it's class number that we're trying to look up instead of the instructor's name. Now, you will receive from me a list of your students when you are proctoring, unless you're proctoring over on the Leestown campus at the proctoring center, in which case they have a list for you. But if you're proctoring anywhere else, you will receive a list from me. It will tell you the name of their proctor and it will have their proctoring information. However, you might have a student who walks in at the last minute between the time you received that list and the time that you're actually giving your proctored exam, in which case you may have to go to this database to find that student's information. So it's very important that you have the access to this database and you know how to search it to find that student's information. Now, that concludes what I have to tell you about proctoring. Remember, if you have any questions that I didn't answer for you about proctoring, when I send out the information about proctoring, it will have the room that you are in. It will have the names of your students. It will have all of the information that you need from the database, unless, of course, you have walk-ins, which usually all of us have 1 or 2 walk-ins. So just be aware of that. You will receive that list in advance of either the midterm week or the final week, and it will come from me. Watch for an email from Kevin Dunn asking you for times when you are available to proctor. You should be proctoring the same number of slots that you are giving a proctored exam for. For example, if I'm giving 2 proctored exams in my 2 classes, that should be 2 midterms I'm signing up for a time for and 2 finals I'm signing up for a time for. So make sure that when you get that email from Kevin Dunn, that you sign up for the appropriate number of slots. Now, his email will have a sign up genius, which allows you to sign up for times that are the most convenient for you. And then he will schedule those and they will be put in registration blast where the students can go in and take advantage of them. Again, if you have questions, feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer those questions.